Bella.
Just listen to some dude be coming down here, 113.
Break it down. I don't know who I'm talking to, but the Lord has given me a word for you. Whatever you're going through, yeah, God gave me this word for you. Everything will be alright. When you're going through, just remember this word. Everything will be alright. Now listen, everybody clap your hands out now this evening. Listen, I want y'all to help me sing. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everybody say yeah.
I like that. PJ Morgan on Aux. What? All Aux was live. Yeah. All of it.
Come on, y'all, let's move. Everything say. Everything will be alright. Turn the background up.
Ladies and gentlemen, come on, tune in. We here. Between Sundays. One day after hump day, Thursday. That drive is just dumb.
Don't worry about the things, no.
Say your name, say your name. Who's out there?
Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. Everything will. Don't stress about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, name this artist. Who is it? Do you know? I'm sure y'all know.
Say it again, sir.
Here we go. Look at that. We got peoples up in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here for another Between Sundays. You're here with Darian Brister, Jay Morris, and our special guest today, the one and only. He is younger than me, but he's older than me. He's my young OG. Part of the reason why I am who I am, one of the biggest influences in my life, my cousin Tremaine Dunlap, the bishop of the B3, Tremaine Dunlap. Darian, take us away, bro.
All right, welcome back, guys. Between Sundays, episode 20. Again, we're a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church ministry operation and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship, arts, and multimedia personnel. We are back. And as we said, we got special guests in the studio. It's been my big bro for some time. But musician, I believe, extraordinaire, engineer extraordinaire. Yeah. Please welcome to the Convo Lounge, Tremaine Dunlap.
Sorry, I ain't got my buttons together.
Man.
How are you, man?
Good, man. Good to be here, man. This is family here, man. This
Yes, sir.
for sure, man. Yes, man.
All day.
This is family here indeed. Yeah, man. I'm just so excited too for what this is so much needed.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very much needed for a very, very long time. So I'm glad, like, God directed all y'all here for this platform, man. Because there's so many things. This is helping out so many people.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm always dialed in. If I'm riding in between stuff, dialed in, checking things out, chiming in. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here, man. Glad here to be able to sprinkle and get in the water a little bit.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. So if we can start here, if you don't mind, man, just man, tell us a little bit about, your journey into music and in the audio.
Oh man, like I said, this is home front here, man. So like I said, as Keith was saying from the beginning, man, it's just been such a blessing where my start starts at home, man, and with family here, man. So this started here, man, just going back just to our lineage, our family lineage, man.
Yeah.
Going all the way back just through, man, it started at the family church.
Got you.
Okay, and it's started just with my uncle was the pastor, and even back to my grandfather, man. Wow. As my mom told me, how the story was. Just my grandfather spoke into when he seen me come out with my hands that I was supposed to do what I do. So that came in, and then I thank God, man. I thank God because this was a start here, man, of something great. Like me and Q said, I was just sharing the other day, man. That it all started there. And thank God that Keith was the one that just stepped into the water and then pulled me on. And like I said, we grew together. This is like I said, this is a brother to me, man.
Yeah. So,
and it's all love, man. And that allowed me just growing up there, developing, and I'm glad we had a space there at Southern that allowed us to enjoy what we do, learn as we went on to do what we do. As y'all guys said, just engineering, man. We learned that from that stage.
Got you.
So we was allowed to be able to just, learn and operate and explore. So you never know what that's going to turn into, but it brought us here till today, man. And it's brought us into just everything we just did, just serving, man, and just being able to just work on just different platforms, man.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful for that because that helped us out just not in the church realm, helped us out do some things just even on the sharing, with a few artists, with a lot of other friends out on the, the jazz realm. Yeah. Man, that I've learned so many just different areas and spaces that took me into my jazz area. Yeah. When I learned me and on Kevin Arthur, Keith, matter of fact, that was just a great time. So I'm thankful for all those areas, man, because the Martin Luther King days, Keith could tell you about. It was just like me, Little John used to come up sometimes, and we was in the marching band. See, a lot of people don't know about that. We was in the marching band where we was all playing individual drums and bass drums, different things. But it's just so many different areas that prepped us for what we do today, man. So I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful, man. So
awesome. So I have a quick question. So tell us, how did you meet Dee Brister?
Ooh, that's good. That's a good one.
How did you meet him, man?
Oh man, that's good. And Dee refreshed me, man, because he refreshed me a lot because I believe it goes back to the Divine Praise days. That's correct. It, D?
That's correct.
Yeah, because we were just touching on that not too long ago because where I'm currently like serving at now at Bethel, I'm like the lead audio engineer. I'm serving there. Me and I get a chance to get into the ward every now and then when they relieve me up, and that's the blessing there. I have room there to move around and still flow. Yeah. So me and Rob, we're both there. Yeah. So like I said, I'm there in any capacity I could do to help enhance worship and everything. So we were on maybe a few Sundays ago together, and Darren was touching on that. People don't know the history of that, man.
Wow. So, shout out to Rob Brickhouse.
Yeah, Rob Brickhouse, my guy, man. Gracie. Great spirit, grace over there, man. It's just a great situation there.
Good.
Yep. It's just the history, man. And so that's we go back, man. Yeah. Me and my bro go back, man.
Go back like Cadillac seats.
Yeah. I know it's something, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay.
Cool. One more question, if you don't mind, man.
No.
From your lens, obviously, you spent a good amount of time, in the role of, music ministry leader. Mm-hmm. And now you've transitioned into, more of a leader on the tech side when it comes to audio. What would you say is maybe one or two of the biggest maybe either challenges or the biggest misconceptions when it comes to audio and in the church spectrum?
Whew. Oh man,
he like to start out early, don't he?
you going heavy early,
Yes, sir.
man. I think and this is a good question. Just let me unpack that slow because I've had let me unpack that.
Let me unpack it slow.
All right, unpack that slow.
There's no fast way to do this one.
No, there's no fast way to do this here.
That's all right. Unpack it, bro.
Let me unpack it slow,
We
man.
here for it.
Because that question is so loaded. We actually I got a call maybe like Sunday or two ago, and we were talking about this question about the church audio lens. So Keith, James Porter called me maybe a couple Sundays ago about
Wait, you got a call from James Poyser?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tremaine got a call from James
Oh,
Poyser.
man,
Let's give him a goddamn clap praise. Anybody get a call from James Poyser? That's major. That's major. Amen.
And it was
Amen.
humbling, and I told Darren, and it was humbling. He called me about the church sound, about seeing if I could, come and help, just develop what they had going on over there.
Yeah.
Because his brother's pastoring the church, and as James began to dive in to just talk about what we know, how the sound that we should expect, and we know from all of our side what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And just what we have in the church today is more so of a just set it and forget it mindset. That they're on now.
That's good.
Be honest with you.
That's good.
That's what they're really functioning on now. And it's like, okay, let's see how we could bring somebody in, get everything set up, see if we can get, trustee so-and-so or deacon so-and-so just to power it on.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to be good.
Deacon Baxter.
Deacon Baxter.
Deacon Baxter.
Boy.
and that's not the case. And, and sound is prevalent. I mean, I think we were saying this too, like he to have an ear, have him here, but if the sound isn't right,
Yeah. Pell said that way back.
he said if that sound isn't right,
That's
you have
true.
issues. And it affects so much of the service in so many different ways. And nowadays in our church structure, we have everybody just doing live stream. I've been, in this journey, man, that I'm so thankful that I listened to God and just went head full with this vision that I have to service in churches, because the need is so huge.
Yeah.
The need is huge, but in our church structures, man, we just don't. I think we're really lacking lacking the importance that we need to, put towards that and making sure that's right. Especially, you would think like before the pandemic that would really have churches say, "Yo, you really need to dial in," because it's so critical. But like I said, the mindset is just like, boom, let's turn everything on. And you got to understand about sound, and this because we do. It's never the same situation every week. Every week is a different situation. Every week is a different situation. I've even if I leave the control room for a minute, I'm pretty much communicating with Grace, the production coordinator. Like, listen, let me go. I gotta hit the floor for something, because just in that minute, something could change. So the idea of, churches thinking you could set it, it's not it.
And Pels, I'm glad you did what you did, because I think this is a good opportunity.
Yeah, I felt where it was going.
Yeah, I feel this is a good opportunity. Let's spend some time here, because one thing you said the mindset you've encountered a lot, I've encountered a lot, is the set it and forget it. And 20 years ago, that could get you through. But the demands from an audio standpoint were much different 20 years ago.
Yes. Agreed.
And too often, the church today tries to meet today's demands with yesterday's approach.
Wow.
That's way too often.
Yeah.
So I'm old enough to remember the time where musicians and the concept of a band on Sunday was not common.
That's true.
Right.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It was not common,
No.
and so it was not really, that concept wasn't really received very well.
Right.
You look nowadays, and it's almost a standard.
Yeah.
So I believe that the sound, the video, the AV, that whole, let's call it media section.
Yes.
I believe today we are where the musicians in full band was 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
We're at that point where we're breaking through the church embracing the value.
Yeah.
Because 20 to 25 years ago,
Yeah,
in
it's a lot
terms of
different.
particularly more than one musician, even adding a drummer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it didn't have the value
Right.
25 years ago
Right.
that it has now.
Right.
Right.
Most definitely.
And so obviously that had to go through, that curve where the church started to realize and embrace.
Right.
So I believe the media portion,
Right.
we're there now.
Yeah.
And maybe 5 to 10 years from now, we'll look back and say, we remember when.
Right.
And hopefully the church starts to embrace the value much more than it currently does now.
Hey, here's something to piggyback on real quick. Y'all can build off of this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's interesting. I would offer this, and then Tremaine, I definitely want to get your thoughts. But let me read it. Sound engineer
Hold on, I
should.
got you. Hang on. Here we go.
Sound engineer should have the science and the anointing. Engineer and music of ministry or minister of music should be aligned. Okay. Let me say this. My journey in the audio, one of the things that I learned from someone that I got a chance to be around, who I consider a high-level engineer, one thing they said that stuck with me is they said the mixing console is a part of the band. It is also an instrument.
That's good.
That's good. That is
never
real
heard
good.
that one. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Come
So,
to think of it, yeah.
When you think of it that way,
Yeah.
there is no way to set it and forget it. There is
good.
no way to kind of sit there
That's good.
and let it run itself, because instruments don't play themselves.
Exactly.
Come on.
May?
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. That goes. You hit it. I mean, that was good. I never heard that. Like you
Yeah,
said,
I've never heard that either.
that was great and a great nugget right there. And I totally agree because, like where I currently am, like I consider myself a part of the band, and because as everything we working as a unit for worship, and it's a two-way thing there. Since I'm a part of the band, you guys have to give me wherever we at what I need to do, what I do, and
Correct.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Like I can't do what I do and y'all not giving me what I need.
Correct.
Same thing. So we all together with that. But I do agree, and I agree that as the engineer, and as to that comment, yes, the engineer does need to be locked into the service. Because if you're not, it's different things that we have to do for the service. My son has this phrase. He calls it, people talk 350, like 358. He's real soft.
Yep.
Prince got this little thing or something on. TJ got off of, I don't know, some one of his social media things.
Yeah.
But so you're gonna have adjustments where people talking soft, people talk a lot. It's all you're moving during the whole thing. So
Yeah.
you're definitely tied in with worship. Yeah.
Jay, can I ask a question that
Sure.
if it's not in your mind, it'll be in your mind? So I'm going to ask a question on your behalf,
Yeah.
but I want to ask it to Tremaine. Tremaine, what is your take on certain churches positioning the Hammond Leslie miles away from the organ?
Oh, man. Hold on. Let's just let that sit just for 10 seconds, Bells. Because right there.
I'm just trying to figure out who made the cord to stretch that damn long. I'm trying to figure that out. I mean, how much per foot of that cord? Jesus. I mean, he running like Pico, man.
You know that cord's not cheap
At all.
What
At all.
cord?
That cord's not cheap.
At all. That cord's not cheap at all.
You talking about it reaches to the highest mountain
Right.
and it flows to the lowest valley. Anybody that got a Leslie cord over 25 feet,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
rebuke you.
Yeah.
Listen, to Jay's point, a 15-foot Leslie cord. I had to get one
Jeez.
back in 2019. 15-foot one back then
Yeah.
was $160.
Yep. I was say they're
15
not
foot.
cheap at all.
No.
But what's your take on the? Or let me ask this way: What do you feel, at least in most situations, is the proper positioning for the Leslie from an audio lens?
Yeah, I believe that, and this going to go with not only the Leslie, but the entire setup. But let's start with the Leslie.
Yeah.
It needs to be generally within, I say, a few feet comfortably of,
Why do we put the bass amp
right
next to us, the guitar amp right next to us, and the Leslie, we put it
Yeah,
down the street?
yeah, down the street. Yeah.
Well, I've actually learned that the reason why a lot of times that happens is because most pastors have hired or acquired a musician doesn't realize that there's a little knob in the back of that Leslie.
Right.
That's a volume button.
Right.
And so what happens
It's on this on the
Jay,
preamp.
reveal
Right,
it.
right. So
Reveal
what-
the secret.
Right. So what happens is you have situations where the pastor's like, oh, that's too loud. And then the musician, because they don't know that you can actually turn the Leslie down instead of moving it, yards that way
Down the street.
Yeah.
and then hooking the mic up to it. So the sound man can now control it.
Right.
Mhm.
All you have to do is turn the Leslie down.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, I was going to
That's all
say, and you can still hook the mic up to it, and the sound man can still control it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I think it does a church, not only a church, but a musician at the service.
Yeah.
To have the Leslie on the roof.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the roof.
On the roof.
No,
And the-
I'm not lying.
And the poor deacon
literally.
that had to put it up
And the-
there. I mean, God have mercy.
Not-
For the person that had to hang it.
And for those that don't know, those Leslies are not, they're very heavy.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not light.
And to Pell's point, real quick, the poor deacon that had to put it up there, and the poor technician that got to service it.
That
up
got
there.
a service.
Hey, wait.
Yeah.
Woo. I got the best. Shout out to PJ. PJ.
PJO.
Look for
Dude.
him. But
What's up, P?
a text message from me and Tina. But anyway, the person that has to play underneath the hanging Leslie. Let that sink in.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Will those chains really hold? When the
No
spirit
more
get high.
chains holding me. I need you to hold the
Oh.
chains. I need to be chained.
Hey,
But going back to your answer, you said within a few feet of the Hammond console
Yes.
where the musician is playing. Mm-hmm. And this is what I've said we've had these church calls. We've had them, okay, particularly when it comes to sound. So I always try and speak the language of the person I'm speaking to. Mm-hmm. But that's what I try to do. And so one of the things I say in this instance is the further the Leslie is away from the organist, the less he can control his sound.
exactly.
The further you put it away from him,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
then he has to crank to try to hear himself
Yes. Yes.
and to try to get the dynamics of the instrument.
Yep.
So in that regard, if the mindset is moving in a way to get better control of the sound, it's really upside down.
Yeah.
The thought process is upside down. You know, you want to keep it close. To your point, Jay, turn the preamp down.
Yep.
Every Leslie,
Yep.
particularly if it's a Hammond Leslie, I'm not gonna go down the path of the motion sound stuff.
yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Yep.
But your Hammond Leslies, they have a preamp volume knob.
Yep.
Pels.
Okay, so I'm going to add my little 2 cents into it. I'm going to sit next to Tremaine real quick. I'm putting my 2 cents in it. So because we have you guys at table, right? Darian and Tremaine, and then you got me and Jay here who represent the straight up musician and the preacher, right?
Yeah.
now with the principle that I believe faith cometh by hearing, especially now. When everybody's trying to do, shout out to Smurf and a few other people that's like, talking about video and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though. If faith comes by hearing, how are you watching a live broadcast and the Leslie is not mic'd? The drum is not mic'd.
Right.
So in a sense, audio is very important.
Very
now.
important.
And then I want to raise the point that Robert Speaks puts up, and it would be great to have you guys do presentations to pastors because some need some of this technical understanding they don't want to hear from the band.
Right.
They think we just want to spend their money. So here's the thing that I want to just emphasize.
Right. Very true.
You do have to talk to you have to find the connection between the faith cometh by hearing. Now you have sight and sound, right? So you have the video, and if you get the video, but you don't have the sound right, it's like I'm watching a room full of musicians, but I can't hear what the guitar player is playing. Because so the blend ain't right. So honestly, you're not delivering to your audience what's in the room. So if the idea is to give the outside what's inside, you have to mic what's inside. And I'll take it a step further. I was on to something way back when. I had room mics. Meaning I just had two mics that they would call atmosphere blend. And what I did was I had a cymbal music mix and I would take a stereo, and that was just so you can hear the audience and people would say, I felt like I was in the room. Now, mind you, I didn't have the drums mic. I didn't have everything like specifically mic, but just those two channels were still important as miking everything, because how do you get the room natural sound if you don't have mics that's like ears in the room?
Right.
So my mics were set like you were sitting in the balcony and you can hear everything, and then there's the mix. So that's very important to dial in on and understand the importance of spending the budget to mic this stuff, because whatever you think is fine in the room, your audience don't hear that if you don't have it mic'd.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, sir. Because I was coming your way.
I think one of the most aggravating things is, to watch a live stream.
Yes.
And the pastor is preaching, and when he's not saying anything, you're listening to the live stream, and all you hear is that the mic inside the Leslie?
Oh, wow!
Every time
Call him out, Jay.
Can somebody please get the mic out the Leslie, please? That's all I'm hearing.
Wow, that's good, Jay.
Is that the mic inside the Leslie?
Wow.
Derry, look, I know he's like, yo, like.
The things that me and Tremaine have seen.
Oh my God.
Y'all need to do audits. This is gonna be the audit crew. We gonna have church audits.
Bruh.
Church audio audits.
And I know y'all seen a lot of crazy stuff, but I was just like, yo, who did that? Yo, they don't know what they doing.
My God.
but that's what you hear.
That's what you hear.
I said, who has the mic inside the Leslie? Get it from out that Leslie.
That's what you hear.
So, going back to Rob's comment, particularly the part of they don't want to hear from the band, they think we just want to spend their money. And let me say this, and this is because I 100% agree. I just also want to bring in the other areas of the church that have, this same experience. Particularly, areas such as audio and video. They nowadays they have that same experience with financial people and the decision makers. Let me offer this. Again, you heard me say I try to speak someone's language to them. So I try to interpret the language that they can hear what I need to explain. So I want to offer this. Particularly, you hear me say this all the time, particularly in the let's say the construct of the Baptist church.
Why I got to pick
You got
on
it?
Baptist church?
I
like,
always
no.
do. I always do.
I'm playing. Go ahead, call it like it is. That's
Call it-
I
we
always
the
do.
main
Call it.
ones.
So, but speaking their language, particularly if, you know, the decision makers, the people who, you know, are over finances are of an older generation. They are not millennials. So you gotta try and speak their language. Now, I'm not telling you that this is the cure all for everyone, but you gotta try to speak their language.
Yeah, that's true.
Example, one of my approaches. Yep.
David's a jerk. I
Yep.
love it.
Sound just fine to me.
Sound fine to me, Doc.
It's making a sound, ain't it? It's all right then.
Wait, look at you see what Mom Lee put.
I'm-
Check your batteries.
Check the batteries.
Come on, bye.
But yeah, so you got to try and speak their language. So here's one of my approaches. One of my approaches is I've learned that their language is discount.
Exactly.
So what I'll do is I'll present retail, and then but my proposal, you see prices that are lower.
Right.
That's one of their languages is discount.
Right. That's right. That's true.
Even when it's costly, but when you showing me, okay, yeah, this is what everybody else would pay for,
Right.
but you're saying that you have the means to get it at, you know, a substantially lesser price. Oh,
Right.
we may need to jump on that.
Right. That's true.
Right.
We may need to jump on that. So that's one of the approaches, because again, we know that they are the gatekeepers when it comes to the resources of the church that are needed to get the equipment that bring about the results. So you got to learn to try your best to speak their language.
Yeah.
Good point. Good
Hey,
point.
you know it's a big problem. I've seen this too. Somebody will hear something that sounds great or see it, and then they try to find their discounted way of trying to achieve the same goal.
Yeah,
and it don't
That's
work.
a good point.
It
That's
don't
a
work.
good point.
Like, why
Yes, sir.
fight against the grain? Unless you have. So we got two people at the table that represent businesses, right?
Yeah.
So Mainline Productions, and you also have Decibel Group, right? Y'all can correct it if I messed it
No,
up. But,
you
but
good.
here's
Yep,
the thing.
good.
You got
And they're like family brother businesses, right? One hand washes the other. So they're known now. Not the only two, but they're known. Somebody else will come along and say, if both of them are pushing X32s, right? Like, yo, this is it. We do this day in and out. When I came in the room, they were talking upgrades and different things, and you know, the latest software and stuff, and why to do it, why not to do it.
Yeah.
The Baptist church down the street will go, oh, that's a digital board, and they got four speakers in the house, and that sound good. And what kind of mics they got? Sure. They go and get the cheaper Shure mic. They go and get
they get the cheaper wireless mic.
right,
Right.
or the cheaper something else. And then when they find out how much X32 costs, they find out they go to the store and get pimped in the store by the guy who don't even go to church.
Yeah, that
That's
part.
true.
And
That
then
part.
they tell them, well, this do the same thing as the X32.
This good old PV.
Right, so you get yo help y'all. So then they put that in, they sell it to you, and then you go back in and brag that you saved the church money.
Oh, have mercy.
Then when you can't never get it right, life can't get right. You can't get right, and then you finally go, what's the guy name that played the organ that got the business, that dude he drive the van? Tremaine Dunlap. Or what's the guy that got the truck with the trailer thing? That's Darian Britt. Call one of them and set up a consultation.
Right.
Then they come in and they gotta clean up. Watch this here. It's a difference when they clean it up your old mess, but it's a problem when they clean it up your new mess.
That part.
Did y'all hear what I just
Yes,
said?
sir.
The new mess is you just spent the $5,000 budget on cheap. And now you got to consult somebody who know just to get back to where you should have been in the first place.
Yeah.
We got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Tremaine. Tremaine.
Wow.
Good. That was good.
I want to get your general thoughts, but I also want to put this question to you. What would be your advice to the churches who would prefer to take a DIY approach to their audio and video. And DIY stands for do it yourself.
Yep.
And I'm glad. I'm because I want to tie it in because shout out to you too, Rob. That's my guy. I want to tie it in too because that DIY, even in what Rob's speaking about, bringing somebody in that I want to say shout out to our big uncle. I was in the process of working with our big uncle Al Ingram before he left.
Yeah.
My big uncle
Rest
Al.
in paradise.
Shout out to him, and it was an honor to, like you said, being able to. They was our big brothers to a lot of us that we grew up with.
Yeah.
Them reaching out for me, bringing me in, like, listen, can you help me through my situation?
Yeah.
Because that DIY stuff, I want to speak. I'm gonna tie this all in because I seen a video one time. My uncle, he was doing some Christmas program or something from the church, and he was like yelling from the pit at Deliverance all the way up to there, and and everybody, everybody that knows. I mean, I served just doing all sides of these coins just from being at the Baptist Worship Center for 20 years, just doing that.
Yeah.
And he brought me in to try to get some things figured out for him.
Yeah.
And with the DIY, let me say this, with the them doing it yourself and also what you have now, a lot of problems that I'm seeing, these churches are paying professionals to come in.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying these companies, you and I already know, $10, $25, $50, $100,000.
Yep.
Or more.
Yeah. $250,000 to a lot of these places, and
Maxing.
It's and it's not right.
Yeah.
And so whether they doing it on DIY end or they're spending a really heavy bag, you gotta have somebody that knows what they're doing to get what they're looking for, and that's where we come in. It's been a blessing. I mean, we've been humping and really busy because we're trying to get some of the churches that have the DIY, like some situation we were talking about previously before we went on. I had to come into a lot of places and go in and say, ma'am.
Say how you say it, man.
Ma'am.
Sir. Hold on. Look at this camera. Say,
listen.
sir.
Listen.
Uh-huh.
Look right here.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
Sir.
Listen.
That's to keep the name exclusive.
This is our joint right here.
Sir. Ma'am.
Sir. Ma'am. Let me tell you.
Come on.
That you bring us in, and like you said, D, we gotta analyze some DIY stuff. Or honestly, I mean, a few pastors that I work with and seen, I'm always so humble to say, listen, I'm sorry, Pastor, but I'm just sorry to tell you, they took we brought these professionals in, we paid them, XY thousands of dollars. And I said, listen, because, I thank God for us for being at the place. Like, I normally can go in and like listen to what they want, or what I normally have them do is send me a few links to their live stream. Listen, send me let me take a listen to it. And then you pretty much can like listen and analyze what's happening there. So by the time you get there, you're already kind of prepped. But, I've seen both ends that I told Darren this, we got stories. I've serviced one church. They had a subwoofer in the corner. And I said, well, I went in there. He said, no, we're not running those subs in the church. I said, well, there's a subwoofer right there in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't running that subwoofer through the system, but the bass player was using it to plug in direct.
Wow.
For service.
Wow.
So that was his amp. I said, so wait a minute. I said, sir, wait a minute. I had to go back to sir.
Yep.
You telling me he using this as a amp?
As a bass rig.
As a bass rig.
Wow.
With no top, Jay. That's everything going through there. As a bass rig.
Oh.
Bass rig.
Plugging directly in that.
That right.
You hear that, pal?
That right. Quarter from his bass right into the sub.
Yep.
I said, now I already know what this sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go take that, break everything all the way down, reconfigure, just to get, because the sound that these DIY setups, and and I'm actually glad we're doing this, like, God's timing is good because it's very much needed, man. We've been talking for a while about,
yes, sir.
And I was blessed. Me and TJ went out with you for a while. That you did a workshop.
One day
So
workshop.
it's things that we really, that's really needed, man, to get everybody in, because there's so many areas that need to be handled. But man, that DIY thing is something else, man, because people, you wonder why you're not getting this sound, and Jay, you hit something earlier where you just saying, you watch these live streams, and I would just service a church where their room was loud because they didn't have the space.
Yeah.
So you went in and your head was blown back.
Wow.
But I was telling with that pastor, I said, well, if you live stream, you still need mics though. To that point that you said with the Leslie, just turn that preamp down, but you want to need it mic'd up so people can feel what's actually happening, man. So that DIY thing, I mean, I would recommend, to that question you said, bringing in, and this is the thing, but you said you got to bring in the right people.
Right.
That's the unpacking that thing. People bring in people that, and by the time they have already exhausted, depleted the resources of the church.
Yes, sir.
That's really tapped out. Then they got to bring in the right person to say, oh man, we should have brought the right person in the first time. So,
hey, let me set y'all up with this. So I'm gonna bless y'all with where I see things going. There's a signature sound. It used to be like this, but think about engineers. So shout out to Serban Genya, right? And I'm gonna tell y'all why I'm saying this. Serban Genya, Manny Marroquin. This wall over here, that wall over there, the mixes on that stuff, and Rob Shirelli, right? Worked with Will Smith. They were our engineers. And the reason why they were our engineers, all of them are great in their own way. And they had a signature sound. But then there were other people that were like, oh, I'll mix the record. And it's like, no, because you have not established a sound that's likable and usable. So now the development and the people like a Tremaine and a Darian, they've sat in both places. They've been on the board and they've been in the band, right? And they've sat and they served with pastors and preachers and leaders. And so they didn't just grab the board, not understanding what a musician needs to feel like. So we have to now pay attention to those who have done the work, trust it, and something my buddy Doc Rock says all the time: either you buy it right or buy it twice.
That part.
And that's the thing that churches are doing. You're buying it twice and your budget's jacked up because instead of buying it right, you end up buying it wrong and then you buy it twice. And so now with the signature sound that we're getting, I could pick either one of them two. I don't have to favor Tremaine because he's my cousin, or Darian because he won us a championship with bowling and whatever. But both of them too, they have a signature sound. And when you go places now, you get shocked because you go places, you like, oh, this sound gonna be jacked up, and you like, it sound great today. And before you know it, you either see Tremaine or Darian come walking through the door. So when you have a house that you are responsible for as a leader, this is where the investment makes all of the sense in the world. So do investment. Do investment. So DI the situation, direct input, do the investment instead of do it yourself.
Right.
That's good.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You guys, since you guys do audio, and let me say this, they do it professionally. They don't just be back there.
Say it, Jay.
They do that They don't just be back there because the pastor preaching and they ain't on the organ.
Yeah.
They do it professionally. So if you are in church that needs audio, they say, okay, well, we had these guys that the same guys that did the Lincoln Financial Field, Wells Fargo, these big subs and everything, they paid almost $50,000-$60,000 for these guys to come in and do what they do, and then the house is still not right. Now they got to call y'all. They wonder why everything's so airy, because even though the guys at the Wells Fargo Center,
they don't know church.
They don't know church.
Boom.
So now they call you guys and they like, okay, now we got a budget of $2,000. Now, what do you do to try to fix this church's situation? Because now they got the speakers, they got the amps, They bought all this stuff, and they have no idea. The guys just basically set them up and set it,
and forget it.
and forget it.
Yep.
And now left them there with Deacon Baxter, who now has a 64 channel coming from a realistic analog mixer. Now, they were realistic.
Speak a word. Speak a word.
Now you done left him with a 64 channel mixer with all these lights and different buttons that he ain't never seen before. And he think of it as a toy. And he only knows up and down. What do you do?
Dave Bell, you wrong for that, but you're right. You're wrong for that, but you're right.
Dave,
Wait a minute. Help me out.
I see that one. I see that one.
Is it like, do they lease the sound engineers?
I'm gonna leave that
and
question all the way along.
Like, is it like, hold up, is it like an empty warehouse and then when there's a concert, they bring in equipment and person?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that question.
It's like
all
a
the way
photo
along.
studio, like an empty warehouse.
Man.
That sound ain't never consistent.
Listen,
Jeez.
I'm going back to Jay's question, and Tremaine, I'm throwing that to you.
What was? Hold up. Okay, got you, Jay. You got it. You got it, man. Go for it.
Yeah. Oh man.
So how would you handle that, bro? Like, what is the deal? Because I'm sure it's happened.
It's happened.
Almost monthly.
It's almost monthly. It's tough because you got to sit down and have this realistic conversation. And as Keith just said, if you don't pay and do it right, you're gonna end up paying twice.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation you kind of really have to sit down on and talk to them about. And it's something Keith touched on about, just was talking about, like with Serban and some of those guys about signature sounds, because I don't think that you need to have the right people in these executive areas
From the beginning.
Let's go here, because that's a whole nother thing to unpack. You need to have the right people from the beginning, not bringing what's happening. We get this call on the back end, like me and Darren we just said.
Now you got to fix.
Now we got to fix
what they messed up.
What they messed up. I mean,
Gotta clean up.
we got to clean up.
Exactly what it is.
And when you're dealing with this AV stuff, it's not cheap.
No.
It's not cheap. We just did a show, just what you said, a company over Jersey. Me and TJ just did a SpongeBob musical.
Mm-hmm.
So they come in, prime example, they come drop off a whole 16 rack wireless for the show. Jay, when I tell you this company, they just bought the van in, boom, dropped the rack off. No batteries in all 16 channels.
Wow.
Right. So they came in. So I watched them. They came, they dialed one channel in. They just one and they rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there on the job and me and TJ get there and I'm like, yo, are they done? Shoot. So the guy was like, yeah, they dropped off and they done. I said, we got 15 more channels. It's a whole production. We had to go, as you said, clean up. Dial off 15 channels and get batteries. Thank God I got everything in the go bag.
Mm-hmm.
Had no batteries. So my man, everybody had a little spare old battery on, testing all 30 or so. But these companies, bro, but this is what they do. And so I'm glad this information that we given today, Jay, is going to help some of these just decision makers out and people, instead of just throwing the bag up there.
Yeah.
And like you said about sound, the sound, man. The thing with the sound is a certain sound that we need.
Yeah.
It's a certain sound.
Church,
It's for church. And like I said, my wife was driving down to the beach, and all y'all know Rhonda, man. She's quiet, man.
Yeah.
You are Keith, y'all know T. She's quiet.
Yeah.
So we ride down the beach. She's listening because I do see another thing that we do, and I know my brother do it too. I do post-production notes. So I'm not just mixing every Sunday. Every Sunday I'm in the stew, I'm throwing it up on the screen, listen, oh man, I could tweak that a little bit more. I need a couple more dBs there, a couple more. So she said, well, honey, man, the quality that you're mixing She said, this is studio quality. Like Keith said, you got to build a certain sound, but then you got to know, which I shared with the musicians there, us being on that side. Shout out to a good friend of mine, Andre Hauser, one of my mentors.
Hauser, there we go.
Dre is, listen,
yeah.
One of the best in the game.
And listen, and this is how me and Dre connected, because when we first connected, it was probably like 20, 25 years ago. And we connected because he didn't know we were family. So at the time, Keith, he was just saying, man, I was on Oregon though. So he was like, man, your sound is great, man. He was like, man, you need to be out on the road with music or something. I said, I was telling him, I said, well, yeah, you know, my family is in that production team. So that's how we became connected. And we just been audio guy. I've learned so much, but from him, I've learned how you need the mixed instruments to sound like what they are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mixed instruments to sound like what they are.
He said, he said, you can't mix drums and they don't sound like drums. You can't mix a horn and don't sound like a horn. So I've learned from him, man, just to whatever you mixing, it needs to sound just like that, man. So
wow.
So yeah, you just that's. I think if the people get to the right people, man, and get to the people that one have a passion to do what they do and are really into what they do, man. Not just somebody just trying to come just get a bag, and because that's the problem, you know.
Look, I'm gonna set this up real quick, right? Darren, you can come back to it, but if you want to go somewhere else, I want to set this up because what Tremaine just said will tie this in. Is there an ideal time to step down from playing if an audio system begins to affect the quality of your playing? Or is it a work through it until church and musicians get it together? Now, this is something that Nick Hill put up, and he asked it, he worded right. Nick, I get what you're saying. I think everybody at the table gets what you're saying. Because the way what Tremaine just said, it can deter. And this is not how Jay is, but we're going to use Jay as an example. If Jay came to me and said, hey, this church want me to play, but dang, bro, the sound, I'm going to tell him don't even do it. Because I think it will affect your growth in playing. It's basically like saying, oh, you know, I'm going to teach my son how to play golf, and you just give him a stick off of a tree and say, oh, use what you got until you get the Tiger Woods stat. No, we got to invest and buy some good golf clubs and expect the kid to play better. It doesn't have to be the top end of it, but it got to be a good golf club. So I think now we're at the place now, whether it's I think Gregory was talking about it, whether it is a good storefront, there's good storefronts, or it's a good mega church, there's got to be quality in both. So it's like a brick and mortar store and a big chain. It's like a small avenue stop and a chain. They both got to have quality. Okay? So Darren, you can go a different direction, but I just wanted to throw that out there about deterrence.
So we're going to come back to that because I think Tremaine is probably really good to answer that question. This is what I want to do. Let me shout out some watchers. I'm gonna give a short version of my answer to what Jay asked. But let me shout out some watchers: Jordan Hammond, Michael Kennedy, DTSP, Terrell Carter, Sherry Stallworth, Jameson, Greg Brown Jr., Rob Speaks, Dave Bell as always, Jim Lee, Priscilla Custis, Tawanda Waymer, Rock Harris, Eric Charles, Ruthina Napier, Nick Hill, Zach Williams, Nate Woodard, James Lewis Jr., Rob Williams Jr., Momdale Sharp Lee, Janae Booker, PJ Owens, we mentioned before, Pastor Anderson, Mason McGill, Marquise Shaw Cotman, Steve T. Wilson, Al Gates, Candace Hinman Boone. Thank you all so much for tuning in. All right. So real quick, I'm going to go back to Jay's question, and then I want to get back to Nick's question, and we're going to spend some time on Nick's question. But let me answer this. Let me answer your question, Jay, from the side of the church that says, okay, instead of us trying to do it ourselves, how do we vet the right professionals to bring in? But before I do that, we got to go back to those fundamentals he mentioned. We've mentioned it on the podcast regarding identifying a minister of music, somebody to run your music department. One of the fundamentals is the people in place have to recognize they're not the expert.
That takes some courage.
You got to recognize you're not the expert in that area. All right. And watch this. You got to embrace that just because you're the expert at managing the money, that don't make you the expert at the equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
One more time.
Yeah.
Just because you may be the expert at managing the money
Right.
doesn't make you the expert at the equipment.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's the first thing is you gotta recognize you're not the expert. All right. Now, getting to the how do we properly vet professionals? Well, it's twofold in my opinion. And again, I'm gonna do this quickly so we can get back to the other question. The first fold is that I would ask the professionals, what church are you currently doing work at?
Wow.
That's different from asking them what churches have they done work at. Those are two very different questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because churches they've done work at, the venues that they've done work at, it does not display for you a relationship.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good point.
It does not display a relationship.
Good.
We know that in the AV integration business, a lot of companies, they're just looking to do the job and get out.
Right. Right.
After they do the job, you're going to be hard pressed to get them on the phone. And if you get them on the phone, the price is going to be a bit steep for what they potentially did not configure properly.
Wow.
So you need some evidence of relationship. So that's why I would ask them, what churches are you currently doing work at?
Yeah.
That's a frame of reference in
Right.
terms of a relationship.
Right.
Because if you hire the company that just is looking to do the job and get out, then it's a good chance that you'll be back at square one of calling Mainline Productions
Right.
to come in and fix something.
Which
Versus,
happened.
versus that company that did the work that you paid all the resources to.
Yeah.
Y'all have a relationship where they can help you manage what they purchased from you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, definitely ask, what churches are you currently doing work at?
Wow.
Because we need to see some relationship. All right, that's the first fold. The second fold is whatever professional presents you what we call a proposal. All right, that proposal is supposed to explain what the equipment does. Not just what equipment they recommend. Because they can just recommend whatever's new.
Right. Right.
And there's nothing wrong with the equipment.
Right.
But you need some information in regards to how it works for you,
Your
the
situation.
church.
Right. Right. Right.
That is, but before we start writing checks,
Right. Right.
we got to know, okay, this equipment you're recommending, what does it do for us?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, can I ask y'all a question?
Wow.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm gonna ask a
That's
question
good.
on behalf of
Yeah, it's
like
good.
as a pastor. So I'm gonna be the pastor that just don't know, right? But I care and I listen to people like y'all. The question now is, I'm Reverend so-and-so and I got Deacon Baxter's at my church. But I told Deacon Baxter to hush hush. And here's our budget. We're not trying to control it. We're gonna listen.
Yeah.
What do I do? Both of y'all can answer this, or one of the two of y'all, both of y'all. What do y'all do for churches that don't have people that know diddly squat about engineering whatsoever? So we got the money for y'all to recommend this board, these mics, that the third. Because I believe there's a need that somebody has to be there that knows what they're doing every week. Because if I went and somebody recommended Tremaine to me or Darian and I went and followed them on a Sunday, I'm like, well, I can buy the equipment, but what do I do about a Tremaine or Darian there?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at Tremaine, he moving around the room, he got the iPad, he doing this, that, and the third. I got the equipment, but who's my Tremaine in the room? What's y'all consult for people, or do y'all build systems, and do you honestly tell people and say, we're going to set you up with something that is a set it and forget it with our, routine checkup on you guys? Like, Tremaine, are you sending TJ out to places that you set up to check on them, and their system is set up to say, y'all got 4 people on the praise team, you only have an organ and a drum set, they're both mic, when you cut this on, hit this button, and all you gotta do is just touch that here or there. So y'all get where I'm going?
Absolutely.
Drop that on me for I don't have a TJ, I don't have a Tremaine, I don't have a Darian in the house. What do I do?
Tremaine?
Yeah, I've had several situations where a few of the churches that I've been servicing, they've had people that knew how to move around okay, no okay in there. So it's just been like little tweaks here, little tweaks there. And I'm glad you mentioned that. So those are some of the situations that I've been pretty much servicing, a lot of those. And that I've had that scenario. And then to your other question that you said, we just had this conversation like this week. We were just saying that actually where it's getting to a place where some of those don't have somebody there that knows how to navigate a little here and there. And then we will have to start sending people out to those churches where, like you said, TJ, because we have sent TJ's been out to a few churches. We sent them over, me and Dre sent them over Jersey to some churches, and I know Darren have some people that he had positioned at churches, and I actually been sending TJ out to a lot of events, and that I'm trying to get it to where we're trying to train more people to get them out. We were just talking to this week because some churches, they just don't have anybody there.
Yeah. So my point is, do you write that into your budget? Like, is that something that pastors need to be aware of? Like, if I'm going to the Monday conference and they're like, and they say, what do we need to do with the sound? Am I going to these pastors and saying, like, Darian knows the format of Monday conference? Am I stand up there saying, also factor in your budget?
Yes.
The training of the whosoever is the young kid sitting around that grandmama gonna make him do it. Y'all, he needs to be trained. That ain't for free. Like, Darren Tremaine got time to sit there and be like, oh, here go the board such and such, and the kid, well, what's that again? So no. This per hour. That's business.
Right. That's right.
I agree.
That question, it's got so many layers there, all right? Because this is the first thing that comes to my mind, Pels. First thing that comes to my mind is a priority sheet. Because if you have the resources for the equipment, are you prioritizing resources toward personnel to operate the equipment? That's the first question that comes to my mind. Where's our priorities at? It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing with just getting anybody that can play because we ain't got nobody.
Exactly.
It's almost that same thing. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. But a direct answer to your question from my perspective, Pels, is before I start recommending equipment. No, I'm taking a look at your personnel because I want to know what they can handle before I start saying X32, PreSonus Studio Live.
Right.
I need to know what they can handle.
Yes.
And watch this. I've told the church this. I said, okay, based on your personnel, I wouldn't recommend you upgrading much of anything. Particularly when, it's not like they have broken equipment. They just maybe have dated equipment.
Right.
So, but if the personnel's not there, I'm not going to recommend equipment. I'm going to recommend, okay, let's maximize the system you have.
Yes.
Good.
And at the same time, training who you have.
Right.
Go in on it.
And this is the big thing that I really would love all pastors and church leadership to understand when we talk about training people, particularly in the audio department. That training, it does not happen in 3 or 4 sessions.
No.
That's right.
It does not happen in 3 or 4 sessions.
No.
That's right.
It's a minimum of a 6-month investment
Yeah.
before you start to see those who are trained give you or show you some type of progression.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not a good bet.
Mhm.
It is. Let me put it in gambling terms. Okay, it is splitting face cards in blackjack. To think that non-audio people will become audio people in a month or 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Please get that out your mind.
Please.
That is not realistic.
It's not realistic.
It's a minimum of a 6-month, twice a month investment.
Yeah.
When you talk about training, and this is audio and video,
Yeah. Yes.
that's the minimum before you start to see the fruit of it. Is it possible that some people will catch on faster? Sure, it's possible. It's just not a good bet.
Yeah.
It's not a good bet. So going back to your question, Pels, before I start writing out equipment, you should get this, you should get this.
That's
no.
good.
Yeah.
Who do you have that's going to run this equipment?
Yeah.
Right.
Because from a business standpoint, if I give you all this equipment and it's overwhelming, you're gonna be calling me every Monday.
Yeah. Every week.
Exactly.
From a business standpoint, you're gonna be on my phone every Monday. And from a business standpoint, I would prefer not to talk to you every Monday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have relationship with you
Yeah.
to help you manage it, but that shouldn't be every Monday morning.
No.
Right.
No.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
we also share that being in a situation. I remember being in a situation myself where I was playing. It's very hard for an organist on stage to do sound. Come on, and play.
You just talked about 20-some years of Tremaine's life.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I'm about to say,
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Number one, from my experience,
Yes.
it was hard to gauge what the people were hearing out there
Out there. Yes. That.
versus what I'm hearing here.
Yo,
Yes.
Rob is the new Tremaine.
He is.
Rob is
You
the
know,
new Tremaine. I was like, that boy working hard,
Because
man.
there's
Yeah, he talking about Rob Elliott.
just
Yeah,
like
Rob
Tremaine.
Elliott. He the new Tremaine.
Right.
He the
Like
Tremaine.
There's organists that do that still.
Yeah. And then, you know,
They run the sound system from the organ.
yeah.
and-
And I'm gonna tell you. Go ahead.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
you were kind when you said it's hard to decipher what it sounds like in the audience when you're on your instrument.
Yup.
I would tell you it's impossible.
Impossible. That was the word I was gonna say. It's impossible.
Go ahead, man.
It's impossible. And let me tell you, the only great formula that I had was that, for one, shout out to TJ. TJ was like I said, he was someone that I had there that was a blessing. But
And
many,
that's your oldest son.
that's my oldest son, and many. When I just stopped the sharing not too long ago to just we was talking about this guy, me and BJ, his dad. We were talking about this. He said, I told Darren this. He said, "Yo, Darren's the only one he can have a comm on and an in-ear on at the same time." Right? He's this guy. This is my Pepsi brother, right? I told him all the
Yep.
time. He cut from a cloth like me.
Yeah.
There's not many that can multitask and do 2 or 3 things at one time. So I know what you're saying. So the only reason that I was able to do this and survive it, because you have to be, for one, you got to know what the room sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna tell you this. So I'm able to do, and I was explaining that to TJ to where, so I'm able to, from me, because I'm a musician, you know, engineer, and I know what the room sounds like.
Yeah.
So I can just pretty much look at the app and know, looking at the front of the house, what it should sound like. So for me, how it worked for me, being at BWC for 20 years, because, you know, I use that time as training to help develop and build my son at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but me and Darren, when we was talking about this, when we put him out on jobs, we don't like to bother. We just like to let him grow. But what I would do, if I'm looking at the console, and so I would be playing organ, but I'm looking like, oh man, that main should be, I could look at his DCAs and say, you looking like you 10 dBs too low, such.
Yeah.
So I would just have interaction on the talk back, say, do this. So You're right, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's totally impossible to do it unless you know from the engineer side, like us, what that room should sound like. And I you know, it's something that we've grown to the point that when I go into situations now to do walkthroughs and consultations, soon as I look at somebody's console, I can tell them what the room looked like without it not being powered on. Immediately. So the problems that they've been telling me, I went to this one church. They had their main all the way down here, probably minus 40. Oh, yeah, this is where we operate at. And I can look at them and say, well, this is your issue you have for here. This is why this is not happening. So it kind of took a long time to, and I've learned that only from some of the mentors, man. Dre, Sam, just working on many shows, concerts, and things because, you know, being around some of those guys, you pick up good things, man. And I never understood this. Dre and them, when I was growing up, they can actually tell you what 2K sounds like ringing. So some of them guys, I've picked some of that stuff up to know what the rooms like you said. You got to put a lot of work and passion. Like I know my brother has right here. So that if you're not all the way in like that, I'm with him. It is impossible for it to do it, and especially when you're doing with people that don't know sound, what the rooms sound like.
And we've never, both of us, at least I can speak for, we've never done so to try and eliminate the need for somebody back there. We've only done so because we absolutely had to. And too many people take that approach, musicians and pastors, where they think they can, you know, mix from the instrument or the pulpit and never need anybody back there.
That's not true.
You know,
and just to clarify, Rob, shout out to Rob Elliott, who's doing it now. So we pray ye the Lord of the harvest to bless them with someone on the board. I don't know if they actually have somebody in training or whatever, but like Rob will get off the drums with the iPad, and I laughed at him because I watched Jermaine do it for years until TJ jumped on board. Jermaine had an iPad and be walking around with it and moving in the room, then come back up, jump on the organ, iPad sitting up there. I'm looking like, what is this? And it's like, yo, you got to mix. So, but that's not a thing to start doing unless you know how to do it, right? It's not really the ideal thing to do, but they did it because they had to. So it's a good thing to see, you know, people that understand sound to move around. And do that. And shout out to Zach Williams,
shout out to you, Zach. What's up, Zach?
What's up,
Shout out to you,
so,
bro.
We got 15 minutes. You want to say something, Jay? I'm sorry.
Just, you know, so I always thought that it showed a level of care for the church as a musician that has taken on an entirely different role along with the other role that they're playing. Because when I used to do it, I would be wearing in-ears. Hearing what I'm hearing while trying to gauge with in-ears
Right.
what they're supposed to be hearing.
Now,
how does that sound? You see what I'm saying? So I would always take one ear out, knowing I couldn't hear what they're really hearing out there. You know, but I had to do something.
Absolutely.
And let me say this though. I've said this just because I know we're wrapping up. But even what I'm doing now currently at Bethel, shout out to Grace, all my people up there, like until I build them to get, so we're building and we're building something good there. But on Sundays, I mean, I have them, the guys on the floors, I have them on iPads mixing monitors. But I'm currently, like you said, it's tough to do. I'm mixing for services. I'm mixing live stream and front of house.
In room and live stream.
Room and live stream, as I told Darren. Now, if you listen to these mixes,
Hacko did it.
Wow.
Yep, I'm mixing live stream in front of the house. But the deal is that, you know, him and I know, like once I'm locked in on my front of house mix, it's pretty there. And guys that, if you're really mixing on the level we're mixing on, you pretty much locked in. It's all pretty much DCA work after that. So I'm locked in, and I'm actually trying to spread that out to TJ and all of the other guys to, even when TJ there, I think I was telling Darren, I said, listen, son, take this iPad. I want you to do front of house. So I can just get them on the concept of, because really to get the sound that you need to get, Darren know that you need 3 mixes. You need
3 engineers.
3 engineers. And that's a whole nother show. The churches on what the sound we're trying to get today, you need 3. Joel Osteen have 3 engineers. You go to somebody and we
Dave
want
Bell
them.
brought up Brandon Jacobs, New Zion Temple.
Okay,
they
okay.
have they to me they have the best live stream of any church in America.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, nice.
Definitely.
Yeah,
3 engineers,
3 engineers.
or at
Now-
least 2.
Let me say this before we get off. I'm gonna say this to my wonderful musician friends. Listen, musicians, honestly, and singers, I'm gonna say that too. If you are not skilled in audio and video, don't go back there. I know a lot of musicians, just because you can play and you work Logic, Pro Tools, and you got a relative amount of knowledge, just because you work those different, and I'm not saying you don't know anything, but if you don't know what you're doing, with those buttons back there, you know, and those buses.
Yes,
and
sir.
you can't explain what a bus is, and you're like, what
It's,
SEPTA?
no. The
No.
yellow bus. The short
yellow bus. Shortly.
Yeah.
If you can't explain what a bus is, then you don't need to be back there, because you let the guys that are trained do what they know. Now, if all you got is you, okay, then fine, do what you can do.
Yeah.
But if you got somebody back there and pastor or whoever is paying great money for them to do what they do, whether they pass or fail, that's not your problem.
Yeah.
Stay off and let the professionals handle.
And let me, if you don't mind, Jay, let me amend that just for someone who might try to nitpick at it. Don't go back there with the intention of running it. Go back there with the intention of learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One more time. Don't go back there with the intention of running it. Go back there with the intention, if you're going to go back there, go back there with the intention of learning.
It. Yes. then you can do what after 6 months of training, as my brother said.
Yeah.
Once that happens, then okay, fine. If you know what you're doing, cool. If not, let the professionals handle it.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to say I don't know it. And it's okay. I let the professionals that know what they're doing. I just need you to turn me up. There we go.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I say.
Yeah.
You know. Period.
So real quick, we got go ahead, Pel.
Look, so I'm gonna interrupt this. Broadcast. Y'all know I gotta add something in here.
Yes, sir.
This is
Yes,
just
sir.
something
Yes,
to
sir.
throw out there to y'all. I want to get y'all raw feeling or response on, because I know this from being in the pulpit. I can adapt. Right? It's like being great musicians. All 3 of y'all know this. We've sat on some jacked up Hammonds.
My
And
God.
there's the musician that's like, oh, the organ all messed up. It's like, dog, we all know it's messed up. How good are you is how you can make that messed up organ do something, right? That's the real flex.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I preached at places where the sound is bad. I mean, monitors, the floor monitors was facing the deacons
audience.
on the front row. Right? I'm like, yo.
Yep.
And the nearest speaker is up there somewhere pointing that way.
Yep.
But here's the thing. Do y'all think at this point, when you think of a Beyonce or a singer on stage, they all have in-ear monitors at this point? Are we going to get to the point where the preacher, depending on the house, the setting, because we're choosing to build our edifices a certain way, and we're going into that area of theater-like production and stuff, does that come along with better sound by in-ear monitors? Because here's the funny thing. I would be the dude to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that most pastors will be better off if they had in-ear monitor. I think it will help the engineer out, because we spend so much time.
Yeah.
Yo, can you turn me up in the monitor? Can you get my monitor? Because if you put it here, and you can hear yourself in here, everybody in this room are wearing monitors.
Yeah.
So now we all can gauge our sound in the mix. So I'm. Dave said we don't need more production. But I think some pastors, y'all argue my point.
Yeah.
Some pastors can use in-ears. I think
Hold
they'll
on.
preach
But
better.
you know what it is, pal?
Ain't that
Honestly,
crazy?
here's the thing. I don't know. if-
Wait, Jay, I'm sorry. Wait, Jay, real quick.
Hold on.
Because then you can
Go
say
ahead,
in the
go
talk
ahead.
back, you be
Go ahead.
like, Reverend, close it up.
Look, that would be me. I would do something like that. All right now.
I'm turning my mic off. Y'all go ahead, man.
Now here's the thing. I think some preachers wouldn't do that because for some aesthetic reasons they like the actual mic because you can't really hold your hand up to your ear
Right.
if you got the in-ear monitor.
Yeah.
But you know, some preachers they hold comfort and hold their ear, and the mic is right here, and they like to holler back and like do it, and that's fine. That's what they do. So they may not feel comfortable having that in there.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing about that for some pastors, because I know exactly what you mean, Pels. I guess the thought that comes to mind for me is too often we don't want to get an understanding for how sound works. We just really want to get the quick fix.
Yeah.
We just do. If we would sit with a pro, you know, as the pastor on your pulpit, have a dialogue. Start asking some questions about how some things work. Start asking, is certain things possible? We don't do that. What we do is we develop those bad habits, the putting one hand over the ear, the grabbing the grill of the mic, the cupping the mic.
Right, Bell.
Can y'all turn my highs up? Can you turn up my highs?
Yeah.
I need more on my monitor.
I need more on my mind.
Turn up my bass.
And I had somebody blow out a capsule doing that.
Blew out a whole straw
my
capsule doing
gosh.
that.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, blew out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would love for and listen. Let me say this since we're on the topic, because there's too many singers that do this as well.
Yes.
That cup the mic
Yes.
or that put one hand on. So if we would just start to get a better understanding
Yeah.
for how sound works.
Dave Bell is banned. He's fired.
Yep.
Dave, you going to get banned next.
Turn me up in the house, even though I'm not in the house.
Why would you worry about
I'm
the
not.
house
I'm
for?
not preaching out in the house,
Turn me up in the house.
but I want to hear myself louder in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, again, those are just some of the bad habits that I believe are the fruit of not wanting to understand.
Yeah. We
But
gotta
just
understand.
like, listen, I know what I need to hear.
Yeah.
You know, and I was at this one church, and
Yeah.
I was at this church.
That
and I
hit
was
your
at
main
that.
spirit. Look, that hit the spirit.
He had a
That hit the spirit.
flashback.
I was at this one church.
He had a flashback.
Man, that hit
Yeah,
my spirit.
because
bad
watch
memory.
this, because every church got the same equipment and the same personnel, right? Or at least that's the assumption.
That's the assumption right there.
If you tell me, you know, I was at this one church and the system sounded immaculate, okay, you got the same stuff they got here. You got the same personnel they have here.
Right. Same price.
So, but yeah, that's my first thought. Also, when it comes to singers, what I've learned that in many of our churches, put some in-ear monitors on the singer, see what happens. That's a whole new world.
Look what your uncle said. Look what he said. I just had my first experience on stage with that when we were out with JL. The entire choir had ears. Although it was different, it was great, and I think it could possibly work on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's different.
I know that situation was right though, Zach. I know that was right. Yeah.
And then that also is going to go back to the point that Tremaine made about more than one engineer. Because now if you got multiple people on in-ears, that means they have their own mix.
Yep.
And they want levels of what they want to hear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Someone
man,
else-
man. I know that gig was right.
Yeah, someone else wants levels of what they want to hear. You know,
Yeah.
the drummer may not want to hear a lot of vocals.
Yeah.
The vocalist wants to hear a lot of vocals and not a lot of drums.
Yeah.
So what we can't expect is we can't expect one engineer
Yeah.
to handle house mix,
Yep.
to handle stage wedges, to handle anywhere from 5 to 10 different in-ear mixes
Wow.
on top of the string.
And the stream.
And the street.
And the stream.
Jeez.
Like you that engineer would burst into flames.
And this is the thing though, with that, and it all has to be set up right.
Yeah.
You know, and I've tore down so many setups because what they want to hear and achieve this professional sound, it got to be built up right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
From the wiring and everything. It got to be built and set up right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody, just for a prime example, I said, look at that whole, I was sharing with somebody about the Super Bowl. I said, look at that whole production that they had. I don't know how many cameras they had, 100-something cameras, all this, and that. At the end of the day, that ball going to drop in the audio guy's lap.
Yep.
So Usher performance was real dope, but if that mix wasn't right,
Yep.
Yeah.
we wouldn't have felt nothing, heard nothing.
And I guess my major point here is before we look to just buy more equipment.
Yeah, I wanted to tell. Yeah.
Before we just look to buy and add more equipment,
That's what I wanted to tap on.
get an understanding for what you have.
What you have.
My God.
Let me say there. Let me say something. And before we go, max out. And I've learned this. Listen, I've learned this from. I just shared this with somebody this week. I don't buy from Mainline Productions any new gear till I've maxed out. Each piece that I've had and understand it fully. And like you said, I don't recommend and when I go into church situations, same thing, D. I'll look and say, let me see what we have. Are you maxing out what you currently have?
Yeah.
And because I don't just think church, because nobody got endless budgets like that.
Exactly.
And that's the issue, like you just said,
And-
a lot of it is just not really doing that.
And just in case you didn't catch it, I took a subtle shot at some keyboard players that are, just buying new keyboards just to buy them.
There you go. There you go.
Wait. See, I said I was gonna turn my mic off. Shout out to a great pastor friend of mine, and I can say this because I love him. And I was talking about they need a another instrument. They have a musician that plays the piano at the church, and I said, so in the conversation, I can give this much. In the conversation, we're talking, and they say, yo, I need you to come and play because I got Reverend so-and-so coming. I'm like, cool. I said, but that preacher needs a Hammond. And you don't have a Hammond at your church. Oh, but I'm about to get a Nord with an organ sound. Still a problem, right? I was like, you better just to let him make his own gravy off of his hoop, because that's not really solving the problem. What I knew in that moment, somebody told my pastor friend that their answer is a Nord, and the way that they said it with feeling and emotion, like this is gonna be major. And I'm like, no, that's not it. So I mean, said it like it was golden. And I couldn't say in the moment, who told you that?
Who told you
So
this?
the thing is, the enablers are the worst people. And I guarantee it was a musician that probably don't even have a Nord. They probably want one. And when he asked the wrong person, what do I need? They said you need to get a Nord. That's my opinion on it.
Wow.
So listen, guys, we gotta get out of here.
Can I just get one?
Yes, sir.
Just
Absolutely.
3 more minutes.
Absolutely.
So, while I got you to here for AV,
And we might have to work out having Tremaine back once a month.
definitely.
For sure.
He come back
Just to
every
hit-
week. He
just-
family. Every week.
For sure, man.
At least once a month to hit audio stuff.
Yeah,
Bruh.
I feel that.
So, for the future of AV in the church.
Jay, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
are you called to preach?
No,
Because you approach, you sound like such a good reverend. Don't he? Jay sets it up like a good preach. Hey, shout out in the comment section if y'all think that Jay could pass for a good bishop or a reverend. All right, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
So for the future of AV, church wise, do you ever think that we would start having drones in the church
Possibly.
for video? Like, that's a whole new level. They use it for like Super Bowl and stuff for lights and different things. But do you ever think?
What's the name of them
Cable,
doing
the
that down
cable
Baltimore though?
Yeah.
The cable. I would say cable, but not the drone.
They're doing that. Where oh man, But Kirk Jones is down there now, Maryland.
Okay.
I think where Miranda Curtis is, I forget the name.
Safe City or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so they had some drones flying for their like live streams. So they yeah.
I'm
I
like,
see
man,
it.
like, is that the future though, man? Is that something that
I would.
aspiring AV enthusiasts would want to get into?
It's a tool. There's a lot of tools
Reverend
in the
James
video.
Demo.
No.
But yeah, it's a tool, and
Yeah.
you know there's a lot of different tools. Because for those who aren't necessarily using drones, depending on the angle you're trying to get, you know, they got remote cameras mounted. You know, if you mount them pretty, strategically, they got remote cameras. But then you also have roaming cameras, which is normally someone's holding that. So like normally your remote cameras would be, more high up.
Okay.
But then your roaming cameras, like for instance, with the
Those
NFL,
ones that be on the boom.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
cables. If
Yeah.
you have the
Okay.
cable, that way it's subtle because the drone's gonna throw air around the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
A cable's
Right,
just
right.
gonna
The
like
cable
subtly,
line, yeah.
quietly move.
yeah. Or then what I was going to bring up in the NFL, every time they do a touchdown and you see that 8K quality, well, that's a roaming camera that most times somebody's actually holding versus a drone. Now sometimes it is a drone, but normally the drones are for more overhead shots. But when they do the touchdown, it's like on field. So that's normally somebody holding a camera with with just a wireless relay.
Yeah.
So it's a tool,
Deacon Baxter not having it.
y'all get them flying toys from around here.
Yeah.
From around here. But yeah, it's so there's just like in audio and even in music, there's many tools available at your disposal. Then it just becomes a preference.
Your wife is here.
Church video game.
Your wife is here.
They got to fight Bowser.
They got.
Hey, sis.
Lord have mercy.
We shout out some watchers that just came in, including Mrs. Brister.
Please do.
Who else we have? Rashida Herbert, Terry Freeman, Micah Davis Jr., who's an absolute monster on bass. If he can't play, he in the fire.
Enoch is here.
Oh, goodness gracious. Grandma B, you a
Lord
mess.
have mercy.
She is here.
Yeah, Terry Freeman, Micah Davis Jr., an absolute monster on
Oh,
bass.
yeah. Awesome.
Absolute monster on
With the
bass.
sneakers.
Ola Leon McCrae, Maurice D. Ferguson, Charles James, Ronell Browder. Thank you all for tuning in. John Turner, Rosalind Hanna, Courtney Gray, Rodney Green. Shout out Rodney Green.
Yo, Rob, what's up, man?
Kimberly Harold, Lamont Bell, Conrad Blake Jr., Corinthia Nicole,
Second
Michelle, Michelle Sutton. Thank you all again for tuning in. Keisha Vaughn. We got to get out of here today. Tremaine, thank you so much.
Oh,
man.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you, brother.
Like I said, we're gonna put together
Yeah.
a segment, once a month if it works for you, where we really tackle the AV issues of the church. We field some questions and we talk about some things to think about. I think when we talked about, when Jay asked the question of, the church that has spent money with professionals, and then that I think that was great, and I think we need more discussion on that.
Yeah.
We really do. We need more discussion on that because although Tremaine and I were in the same line of business, there's never been a competition with us.
No.
There's never been if anything, we work with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
man.
We collaborate on jobs.
Y'all need to expound on that too.
Yeah,
Because I know that because the personal relationship I have with Darian,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, we've been through so much together. He's been around me through hard times. Tremaine is family from birth up. We just been riding. And the thing is to see both of them like blossom at the same time without clashing at all.
Yeah.
It gives me that John Roberts, Brian
Yeah,
Moore
yeah.
type of era. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
If
yeah.
anybody
We-
understands
yeah.
what that is.
Yeah, we
And
need to unpack
we're
that.
missing that in our community and
Yeah.
culture where now we have variety without conflict or
Yes.
competition,
Yep.
where it's like you can walk in a place and know that Tremaine doesn't have to worry about his own brother trying to undercut him.
Absolutely.
That's
Or
right.
vice versa. And
right,
then
yep.
there's consistency.
Yep.
And then I believe there's a relationship that if something were to run up where, let's say Tremaine missed something and he did something off and missed it,
Yep.
Darian would go to him and say, hey,
Yep.
bro,
Oh yeah.
you know, they called me at this church
Yeah.
and I came in and I seen something, but they told me you installed the system.
Right.
You do know X,
Pels.
Y, and Z and vice versa. That's what we
Pels.
supposed to
Yeah,
do.
that's right. That's
for
what
one
we're sup-
another. And
That's
people
what-
have
yes.
stopped doing that.
Yeah.
They come in and be like, oh, who did your sheetrock? Oh, they jacked it all up. No, go to your man and
Go
be
to-
like, yo,
yep.
you know, the sheetrock from Home Depot ain't good, bro.
Right,
Thank
right,
you,
right,
bro.
right.
That's how
Yep.
you grow.
That's how
and
you
everybody
grow.
eat.
Yep. That's how you
Pels.
listen.
That's right.
Pels.
We got
I got to leave it alone till you next time you come back.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got like 3 paragraphs on that portion alone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it alone. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll be back next week, same time, same bad channel. For D Brister,
J Mars.
Tremaine Dunlap, man.
Y'all better
Pels,
shout
take us
y'all
away.
wives out. No, y'all
Yeah,
better
yeah.
shout y'all wives
Yeah,
out.
shout out to Rhonda Dunlap, man. 'Cause I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't be doing what I do without her, man. I mean, listen, shout out to her, my whole family, man.
Yeah.
TJ, Trey, all y'all, man. So
Yeah, shout out to Grandma B's Bakery,
Grandma B, yeah. Shout out.
P9 Brister.
Shout
You
out
need
to
some custom tailored desserts, or custom made desserts. She is probably the person that you want to talk to.
She definitely is the person.
See, he got it right. He
Because I
got it
can't
right.
bake. You don't want to get no cupcake from me. You spit it out. But you get it from Grandma B, you gonna be all right.
yeah.
And Jay, you go ahead and get your Barry White tone right there for Angel.
Shout out for Angel Signature by Angel Catering. If you
Oh, yes.
all your catering needs, make the macaroni and cheese with the nice edges.
Undefeated jerk salmon cheesesteak.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
undefeated.
Don't get me
Undefeated.
started. My God.
And this is Keith Pelzer here. Shout out to my lovely wife, Tina Pelzer.
Yes, Lord.
Amen. And
Amen.
she got up early this morning
Yeah. Yeah.
to walk the walk of faith. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
We out, y'all.
Yeah.
Take us out, pals.
Got my joy, back my joy. I've got
Wine and
Shout
Sonya.
out Juan and Sonia Sessions. One praise.
Oh yeah.
Got my joy, back my joy. I've got my joy.
Yeah.
Been restored, been restored.
Troy Chambers on the keys. Come on, boy.
Get your joy. You better get your joy.
Yeah.
Don't let them take your joy. Don't let them take your joy. He's waiting to give you joy. This joy I have, the world didn't give to me. Oh, this joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world didn't give it away.
I've got my joy.
You better get your joy.